Welcome to my channel. This is Real Talk Podcast, where we dive into honest conversations, real stories, and practical English learning tips. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at language learning.
Specifically, vocabulary for beginners.
Right, exactly. How it's chosen, how it's presented. We've got two main sources here. The Cambridge English Preliminary Vocabulary List. Sounds quite official.
It is, yeah. It's pretty detailed, aimed at test preparation.
And then we've got some beginner dialogues from English Made Easy.
Right, showing the vocabulary more in context, in action.
So the mission today is basically to understand the thinking behind these lists.
And how the dialogues make those words practical, usable.
Yeah, hopefully giving you some insights if you're learning English, or even if you're just curious about, how these things are put together.
Definitely. Should we kick things off with the Cambridge list?
Let's do it. So this list is mainly for teachers, preparing students for the preliminary exams.
That's its main purpose, yes. Think of it as a sort of blueprint.
A map, maybe?
And a map, yeah, that's a good way to put it. A map of the essential words for that level. And it's not just guesswork.
Okay, tell me more. How did they actually create it? What's the rationale?
Well, it's developed by Cambridge English, obviously, with external consultants. It builds on things like the Council of Europe's threshold level.
Which is a known standard.
A well-established standard, exactly. But what's really interesting now is the use of corpus evidence.
Corpus evidence, meaning
Analyzing huge databases of real language.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of words.
so they see which words are actually used most often.
Precisely. It's grounded in real-world usage, not just intuition.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And the level we're talking about here is B1.
B1 on the CEFR scale, yes, the Common European Framework of Reference.
And it covers both kinds of vocabulary, understanding words and using them.
Right. Receptive, the words you need to understand when you read or hear them, and productive, the ones you need to be able to use yourself in speaking or writing.
So it's not just about recognizing a word.
No, it's also about being able to actively use it. Though, your receptive vocabulary is usually bigger than your productive one, especially when learning.
Makes sense. But is this list like everything a B1 learner needs? The absolute final word?
Oh, definitely not. That's a really crucial point they make. It's a guide, a foundation.
But not exhaustive.
Not at all. Learners absolutely need to go beyond it. English is huge, always changing.
And the list itself changes too, doesn't it? It gets updated.
It does, yeah, annually, which is important to keep it relevant.
And how do they update it? More corpus data.
Exactly. They use the Cambridge Learner Corpus. It's massive, over 44 million words.
Wow.
Yeah, all written by English learners around the world so they can see common errors, how language use is evolving.
That's fascinating.
And this data also feeds into something called the English Vocabulary Profile,
Okay.
which assigns CEFR levels from A1 up to B2 to words and phrases. For British and American English, you can actually look it up online, the EVP website.
Useful resource. So how is the list itself actually structured to make it usable?
It's pretty logically organized. There's the main alphabetical list, obviously.
Right.
But then Appendix 1 has word sets. Things like days of the week, months, numbers. Those aren't repeated in the main list.
Okay, keeps it cleaner. What about grammar words?
Basic grammar words, articles, prepositions, pronouns are in there. But they note that the actual preliminary handbook has a more complete grammar section.
Got it. And I noticed something about multi-word verbs, like phrasal verbs.
Yeah, that's handled quite cleverly, I think. They include the ones where the meaning isn't obvious from the parts.
Like find out, meaning discover.
Exactly. Or get along with someone. Because find and out separately don't automatically give you discover. But if the meaning is clear from the parts, like sit down,
And sit and down are already listed.
then they generally don't list the whole phrase sit down. It focuses on the trickier ones.
That saves space and focuses effort. Smart. What if one word has loads of meanings?
Good question. They use what they call exemplification. So they give a short example phrase, but only if it's needed to clarify which meaning is relevant at the B1 level.
Like your example of heel.
Right. They give I can't walk in high heels to make it clear they mean the part of a shoe, not, the back of your foot. It constrains the meaning.
Very practical. And there are topic lists too.
Yep. Appendix 2. Groups vocabulary into common themes. Food and drink, house and home, sport, that sort of thing.
Useful for lesson planning, I imagine.
Definitely. Teachers can focus on a specific area.
Now, it's interesting you mentioned constraints. What about things that are left out? You mentioned some exclusions earlier.
Yes, this is important for exams like Cambridge. They deliberately avoid sensitive or potentially upsetting topics.
Like what?
Things like war, serious crime, maybe complex politics. The aim is fairness and, well, avoiding distress. The focus is on general, everyday communication.
Okay, that makes sense for a global test. But what about words that are important to someone personally? Their hobbies, their job?
That's a great point, and the list acknowledges this. They mention the need for personal vocabulary.
Mm.
This list gives you the general foundation, the high-frequency stuff. But everyone needs specific words for their own life, their interests, likes, dislikes. You have to build that on top.
So it's a starting point.
Exactly. A core, but not the whole picture.
And quickly, there are abbreviations in the list.
Standard ones, yeah. M for noun, E for verb, adj for adjective. Also things like UK, ES, English differences, grammatical points. It's all explained at the start.
Okay, so quick summary on the list. B1 level guide, receptive and productive, based on real language data, updated yearly, avoid sensitive stuff, and it's a foundation, not the finish line.
You got it. That's pretty much the essence of it. It's a carefully constructed tool.
Right. Let's make it concrete. Can you give us a few examples from, say, the A section? What kind of words are we talking about?
Sure. Right at the beginning, you've got the basics like a or an, then ability, the noun, and able, the adjective.
Okay, core stuff.
Very core. Then common words like about, above, abroad. State words like absent, intensifiers like absolute. Exactly. Then concepts like accent, accept, access, accident. Even basic nouns like accommodation. It's a real mix.
Yeah, you can see how it builds from the very frequent, simple words up to slightly more specific concepts, even just in the A's. Okay, fascinating.
It lays that groundwork.
Right. Now, let's switch gears to the English Made Easy dialogues, because this is where we see words like these, maybe simpler ones even, used in, well, real situations.
Exactly. These dialogues are great for showing how that basic vocabulary gets used practically, taking it off the page, so to speak.
So we've got three scenarios here. First one is in a restaurant or cafe.
Yep. Ordering food. You've got Anna, the customer, and James, the waiter.
What vocabulary jumps out?
Well, the verb order is key. I'd like to order. Are you ready to order?
Obvious but essential.
Totally. Then menu, of course. Anna asks for a chicken sandwich and a glass of lemonade. Specific items.
Any choices or changes?
James offers fries or salad as sides. Anna picks fries and then asks, can I add extra cheese?
Extra cheese. Good phrase to know.
Definitely useful. And then the end of the meal.
The bill. Yep.
Right. Anna asks, how much is it? James gives the price, $12.50. The video points out order, menu, extra cheese, and the price as key takeaways.
And it suggests practicing.
Yeah, by swapping the food items, ordering different things using the same structure, it encourages active use.
Very practical. Okay, scenario 2. The airport. Asking for directions.
Right. Lena is lost, asks an officer for help. Key words here are location words. Terminal, gate.
Like, where is Terminal B?
Exactly. And she needs to find her specific gate.
And she needs to understand the directions she's given.
Yep. The officer uses phrases like walk straight ahead, turn left at the security checkpoint.
Security checkpoint, another key airport term.
Definitely. Lena also asks about a coffee shop near her gate, and the officer confirms it's next to gate 15, positional language.
And flight details.
She asks, is my flight on time? It's UA 850. The officer confirms the departure time. It departs at 5:30 p.m. from gate 15.
So depart is a key verb here.
It is. And the video host makes a point about using, excuse me, to be polite.
Good tip.
And then challenges viewers to adapt the language. Like, how would you ask for the restroom at a train station?
Transferring the skill. Clever.
Makes you think actively about how to use the phrases.
Okay, third situation. The doctor's office. Different vocabulary set again.
Totally. Health-related stuff. Tom isn't feeling well, sees Dr. Lee. He starts with, hi, I'm not feeling well. Very common phrase.
And the doctor asks,
what are your symptoms? Symptoms is the key medical word here.
right, what are Tom's symptoms?
He lists a sore throat, a headache, and coughing a lot. Standard complaints.
And the doctor checks him.
Checks his temperature, notes he has a fever. So fever is another important word.
And the solution.
Dr. Lee says, I'll prescribe medicine. The verb prescribe.
Meaning officially recommend or authorize medicine.
Exactly. She tells him to take it twice a day, drink water. The video highlights symptoms, fever, prescribe.
Any other tips in that one?
Yeah, it gives other ways to say you feel sick. like, I feel under the weather. And crucially, suggest asking, can you repeat that if you don't understand the doctor?
That's vital advice in any situation, really, but especially there.
Absolutely. Clear communication is key.
So looking at these two sources together, it's really clear how they complement each other, isn't it?
Definitely. The Cambridge list gives you that structured, systematic foundation, the building blocks.
And the dialogues show you how to actually build something with them, how they work in, real life.
Exactly. Contextual understanding, practical application.
And you can see the overlap, too. Both focus on high-frequency words, relevant for everyday stuff that beginners encounter.
Ordering food, getting directions, health, very common needs.
And I like how English Made Easy really pushes that active practice. Pause, repeat, write things down, swap items, adapt the scenario.
Yeah, that active engagement is so important. It's not just passive learning from a list. It aligns with what we know about effective learning strategies.
It also brings us back to those deliberate exclusions in the Cambridge list. The war, the politics.
Right. You see why beginner dialogues also stick to more neutral, everyday topics.
It's about building confidence and fluency in common situations first, isn't it? Before tackling more complex or sensitive areas.
Precisely. You need that core language for basic interaction, and maybe avoid potentially overwhelming or less immediately useful vocabulary at the very start.
And it connects to that personal vocabulary idea again. The dialogues cover common needs.
Food, travel, health, very universal.
But they still don't cover everything about your specific life, your job, your unique hobbies.
Exactly. They provide models for common interactions, which is incredibly valuable, but you still need to actively seek out and learn the words specific to your world. The dialogues give you the framework, the list gives you the core, but the personal layer is up to you.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we've seen the systematic side, the Cambridge list, carefully curated based on data, providing that B1 core.
A foundational resource. And then the practical side, the English Made Easy dialogues, showing vocabulary and context, emphasizing active use, making it relatable.
It's a neat combination, really.
Yeah.
Shows the theory and the practice.
Both valuable parts of the learning process.
So here's a final thought for you listening. How can understanding these principles, identifying core components, practicing them in context, apply beyond just language?
Yeah, think about learning any new subject. What are the absolute essential building blocks, the vocabulary of that field?
And how can you move from just knowing those blocks to actually using them effectively in real-world situations or problems?
It makes you think about how learning materials are designed, doesn't it? The choices made in creating lists, crafting exercises, it's quite deliberate.
Something to ponder, definitely. How we build knowledge, block by block, and make it our own.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time on Real Talk Podcast.